Today we're visiting 1028 North Live Oak. This is the Baldwin Brundrett house. It became a Texas recorded historic landmark in 2011. This whole neighborhood is called Old Rockport, and mostly it's well known for its huge live oak trees, and here's a beautiful example over here. I'm sure many of you have noticed this one when you try to drive by on the narrow street in front of it as it grows over the street. The legal name for this area is Live Oak Heights. The History Center is just south, around the corner at Live Oak and Cedar.
The house is a Victorian Queen Anne, and it's kept its basic structure since the 1880s, over 140 years. It's currently restored by Jerry Hanson and her late husband, Bud, or James. And the Hanson family has owned the house from 1990 to the present. Note the original stained glass windows. This type of colored glass is seen in several other historic houses, including the History Center. The lacy decoration on the porch we sometimes call gingerbread. The wood spindlework is another sign of the age of the house. W. H. Baldwin, who lived from 1849 to 1940, moved his family to Rockport and this house in 1891. He was first elected county judge in 1892, and he held that position several times. He was also county attorney. The San Antonio and Aransas Pass Railroad brought tourists to Rockport, as many as 4 trains a day. By the 1890s, several resort hotels were built. There were electric lights, a telephone, and streetcars, about 2,500 people. But the 1916 and 1919 hurricanes destroyed many landmarks along the waterfront. The cattle industry was wrecked. Recovery was slow. Civic leaders, including Judge Baldwin, tried to get a deep water port, but they were unsuccessful. Corpus Christi won the port in 1922. Next came the George A. Brundrett Jr. family from 1917 to 1942. There are many descendants of the Brundrett name in this part of Texas. George A. Brundrett Jr. was born in 1836 and moved to Texas with his family. His first wife was Mary Court Hope, Molly, a widow with 3 children. 5 children were born to them before she died in childbirth in 1869, leaving George with 8 children. He served in the Confederate Army with Major Alfred M. Hoddy D. He was at Camp Sam's on San Jose Island. He also delivered goods and messages between Confederate forces since he knew the territory. In 1884, George married Flavilla Madden, Madden, and they had 10 children. Her father was a pioneer medical doctor and circuit preacher who taught her doctoring skills. She took care of many when a doctor was not available. George died in 1920, but Flavilla had the house until her death in 1942. She carried on her work with charities, and she taught Sunday school at the Presbyterian Church for over 52 years. Captain Jack Davis and his wife Pearl and their family had the house from 1942 to 1990. Jack was a seaman born in 1906 in Fulton. He operated a tugboat for Todd Lee Wynn that pulled a barge back and forth from Matagorda Island to Rockport. Pearl operated a 2-way radio from the house to the boat. No telephones on the island. They had 4 children, Two of their daughters married grandsons of George A. Brundrett Jr. and wife Flavilla. So generations of children have had early memories of this cottage surrounded by oaks.